we did a bunch of research. We have a bunch of experience with cybersecurity training, good and bad. And we came up with 5 key things that we think need to be in place to call it effective cybersecurity training.
Right.
The first thing that we've seen is that it needs to be continual monthly training. There's some really good research out there that says kind of compared the effectiveness of if you did one-off training and said, hey, we're going to have a cybersecurity awareness summit for the company, and we're going to do this big training event and get everybody training and stuff like that.
Once a year.
Yeah, once a year.
Cram it into 3 hours once a year.
Yeah, versus doing it on a monthly basis, kind of distributing it in small, like more bite-sized pieces, different flavors, getting people engaged on a repeated basis, creating that awareness over time. Way more effective to do it on a monthly basis over time. So that's number one, we think that needs to be in place, is that training needs to be continual monthly training. Because, hey, think about a new member of the team starts a week after your cybersecurity training happened.
Yep.
There's no training of that person for a year then, if you're only doing it on an annual basis, right?
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. And onboarding should be in part of your onboarding. All right. So I think I'll take number 2. Essential number 2 for cybersecurity training. Everything that you do, you've got to run a fire drill. It is extremely important that when you look at phishing, that you run the simulations within your organization and that you test it out so that people know what to expect. You catch people who are not quite there yet with how they decipher and decide whether or not something is a phishing simulation. So for every option that you look at out there for how you're going to train your staff, your essential number 2 should be phishing simulation is available within that platform or within the service that you're working with. Everybody needs to make sure that they're being tested on a regular basis and that they can retain that information in small bites. And it needs to spread across your organization. So
if your training is just generic and kind of one size fits all for everybody, the ability to engage your staff and to be really useful, it's going to be less and less. Let's say there's 3 ways that we've come up with that you can be specific and that we look at with these different training platforms. First is compliance. Do you have anything where you need to be? So do you need to be GDPR compliant? Do you need to be HIPAA compliant? Is there an enhanced PIPEDA need? Like what? Maybe you have something unique to your industry. Maybe you do a bunch of work with Canadian banks, and they want to see you doing things according to the NIST framework. There's all these different kind of ways that you can be compliant. So when you're looking at your training strategy, part of being compliant with those, there's always a training component. So you need to make sure that the training has that. Second thing is industry specific, right? There's different scenarios, different things. If you're in the healthcare industry and you're dealing with a lot of personal information, it's a bit different than if you're in the manufacturing industry, right? So making sure that training is specific to the type of industry. And then last not least, customized to roles. If you're a finance professional, the training that is appropriate from a cybersecurity perspective is pretty different than if you're a sales professional, right? Or if you're the leader of the organization, or if you're on the front lines from a customer service perspective, right? So being able to take that training and say, we're going to customize it to compliance needs, to industry needs, to people needs, you're going to get that effectiveness way up.
You must have useful reporting coming out of it, and it must be simple, user-friendly, and easy to deduce who are your repeat offenders, who are the people that are actually doing the training, who are not. And then you can make an executive decision at that point as to what types of conversations you need to have with the persons who are not on board or adapting to ensure that they're protecting the organization and their livelihood.
And I almost want to just put an underline under useful reporting. because under the useful and useful reporting, because so many of these pieces of software, the reporting engine, look at that, all of a sudden it appeared. The reporting engine that is built in is just not, there's not actionable data, or it's not easy, or you have to kind of, I don't know, you have to be a data scientist to try and filter. Like, just give me, okay, you've got 50 employees. Who's doing the training? Who isn't? Who's clicking the links? Who isn't? Who do I have to go talk to?
Yeah.
Give me that quick, and then I have the information I need.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's important, that portion, because when you later look at your cybersecurity insurance, if you have to make a claim because of a breach or otherwise, and you've got reporting that says, look, this person has done all of our cybersecurity training, we were as prepared as we could possibly be, it's going to be a lot easier for you to fight and get your breach or whatever it is funded by your insurance, as opposed to, oh yeah, this person never did any of our training, the company's liable because this person ignored all of our cybersecurity advances, and they put all of our stuff on their personal phone and use the same password everywhere, etc. Right?
Yeah.
So it's good content to have.
So if your training is lame, uninteresting, dry, whatever, you can use any sort of adjective, people are going to watch it. Right? Like, it's not like people are racing to work saying, oh, the first thing I want to do today is cybersecurity wireless training, right? Okay, we understand that, right? But it's gotta be a little bit more engaging, right? It's got to be interesting. It's got to have some fun, maybe some quirkiness, just something, right? Like, we all have piles and piles of work to do in our day, and having something that's kind of boring and like going to your least favorite class in university, it's not gonna get people interested and involved. So there's lots of training techniques out there that can make cybersecurity awareness training content much better.
And keeping in mind as well that if you're you never come into contact with shipping, and you're getting a cybersecurity training on how to avoid shipping, being exposed via shipping, it's not going to be interesting. So just make sure that it's useful for your organization, whoever you're working with, whatever platform you're working with, that it has that content, and that it's white papered well, so that you can review it, see the information that's available, be able to co-label all of the content that's there, and just generally make it useful, impactful, engaging, so that people want to do it every few weeks when you punch it out, and in small bites.